We've gone over barrel picks, store picks, private Facebook group picks before. This one is another store pick from Total Wine, and it is a Rieger bourbon. Only this one is so high proof, they call it Wildfire. We're going to get into this and so much more on this episode of Savor the Burn. Check it out. Pow! Welcome to this episode of Savor the Burn. My name is Jonathan. This is Mr. W2. How do you do?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I just had some of Miss Katie's magnificent chocolate chip and peanut butter chip cookies.
I love her.
Very good. I'm leaving that alone. So thank you so much, Miss Katie, for everything that you do for the podcast. Off screen, off air, all the things. We have our pipette out and ready to go. We've got our Glencairns out and ready to go. Our sipping water. Tasty and ready to go. What can you tell me about this J. Rieger Company, Rieger's, private stock?
Yeah. So we've gone
Wildfire.
We've gone over
Straight
We've gone
Bourbon
over
Whiskey.
We've gone
Mr.
over it
W2.
before. This guy.
I'm gonna get punched in the mouth.
We've gone over it before, but I'm gonna do it again. So the J. Rieger private stock.
Yep.
Pulled this off of their website, so that's where it comes from.
Right. What you pulled off of the website will be the original version of it.
Yeah. So
God, that's so dark.
Their own website, right? Look how dark that is.
I don't know why I just noticed this, but it's so dark.
So the J. Rieger and Company was the largest mail order whiskey house in the United States prior to the onset of federal prohibition in 1920.
Wild. I didn't know that mail order whiskey was a thing.
I really want to do a little bit deeper dive into what is mail order whiskey.
Right. Because we did talk about that. It could be like,
I mean, we've got
a bar in Tallahassee.
Yeah, I mean, there's today with the internet and everything else, you've got all these online sites that you can do subscriptions to. Flavier, we get bottles from them.
Retailers like Keg and Barrel.
Right, Keg and Barrel, Wooden Cork.
Wooden Cork. That's another good one.
So there's a lot of them out there. I just feel like that's not quite the same as what this pre-1920 mail order whiskey house
Dude, it could have been a fucking stamp on a bottle and be like, here you go. Good luck.
Here, Pony Express. Take this across
Pony fucking Express. You got to worry about Jesse James fucking robbing your ass. Oh, no.
Anyway, back to it, though. We are proud to be back as Kansas City, Missouri's first distillery. I think that's cool. So, post-prohibition, J. Rieger reopens in 2015. I'll get to that in a second.
Really wasn't that long ago.
But they are Missouri's first distillery in nearly a century.
At time of recording, that's less than 10 years ago.
Right. This is our story of family legacy, Kansas City history, and the booze that ties it together.
Absolutely.
In 2015, we began distilling Rieger's whiskey for the first time since Prohibition. As our barrels come of age, we are proud to offer the opportunity to secure your own private stock barrel of Rieger's Rye or Rieger's Bourbon. And I'm going to pause right there, pick that up, and read that paragraph on the back of it. We're going to do this a little bit earlier in the episode than we did last time because I think it relates.
Absolutely, yeah. Here, if I can get my light right. In 1919, with the Prohibition looming, J. Rieger and Company owned a massive stock of booze that would soon be illegal to sell. Jacob Rieger's son, Alexander, appealed that he had the legal right to transport every bottle in their inventory to his private residence. Smart man.
Yes, sir.
In 1920, federal Judge Ferris issued an order allowing Alexander to take home his private stock This bottle of private stock honors the defiant efforts of Alexander Rieger.
I'm thinking about, do you remember back when we did the Kentucky Owl confiscated?
The confiscated, yeah.
That whole bottle, when they finally resurrected that distillery, they paid homage with that bottle to the fact that on the onset of Prohibition, the feds came in, they confiscated everything that they had, locked it away in a warehouse, and then just magically, even though there was no trace whatsoever after the ashes were picked through, and whoops, it happened.
It's all gone.
But there was no trace that there were barrels in that fire. The accounts were the ashes were basically just an empty barn, an empty warehouse. But anyway,
and the back of the label showed that, right? It showed like an empty or a burning warehouse and like a raft with.
And their label looks like burnt parchment type stuff. So Kentucky Owl, unfortunately, did not have the wherewithal to get a court order to allow them to turn all of liquidate their massive stock into private. So J. Rieger started back up. They reopened the distillery 2015. Now you fast forward to today. Finally, some of those barrels are starting to age and get up there.
Next year.
I hadn't thought about 2015 and 2025. That's a 10-year.
There's going to be a special release.
They do not have a 10-year out. Oh my God. Oh,
did your nipple get hard? My nipple just got hard. Woo! Come in, Tokyo. Little Ace Ventura for you.
Shit. You are right.
Yes, sir.
There's a 10-year around the corner.
There's something coming. I don't know if it'll be a 10-year, but there's something coming.
Okay, so
back to it.
So now that barrels are starting to mature and become available, they have started a private stock program where if you have a business, you have a store, you have a Facebook or a guild, the Kansas City Whiskey Guild did a bottle. I have it off camera at the moment, but they recently just did a barrel pick with the private stock from J. Rieger. You can get part of that program, and according to their website, it's going to cost you $12,500
for a barrel.
Which
starting at
So the yield of that
plus sales tax,
which is on average should be about 5 years at 100 proof in 750 milliliter bottles. That's going to yield about 210 bottles, plus or minus, depending on the proof that you want.
That's quite a few bottles.
That is a lot of bottles. However, let's fast forward and get right to the bottle that we've got in front of us.
This one here.
This is a private stock store pick from Total Wine called Wildfire. Specifically, this is the Total Wine Overland Park. And back to that how much it yields is based off of the proof that you want. Well, this one comes in at 149.6 proof.
Yeah, so they could have proofed it down and yielded more bottles, but they didn't.
According
I don't know why.
According to Tanner, because of the proof, this barrel only yielded 90 bottles.
90 bottles out of one barrel, which is abysmally low. But
I'm not mad at it.
I mean, you can see how dark this is. Maybe you've seen it on the bottle preview by now. Maybe you haven't. But against the light, this is
so
dark.
This is the Rieger Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It is approximately 5 years old.
5 years, and you get that color from a five-year-old whiskey.
And boy, howdy, that color alone, that is barrel strength. It's completely opaque from where I'm sitting. It is dark as fuck.
From where I'm sitting, like if you don't have the light behind it, you can't see through that thing.
So like I've done on the last couple ones, I went ahead and pulled the tasting notes that were for the Rieger Bottled and Bond Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
Good call.
Which is 100 proof. So,
wow. Okay.
so that's 49.6. That is 50. And hold that thought. The label says 149.6. The label says 149.6. I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back to that one because I have a little story.
So
I have a little story.
When we did our flight with Raven that night, that was 100 proof in the bourbon was.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah. We did the Bottled and Bond bourbon and the Bottled and Bond rye. And then I think we started with the original. The original.
Yeah. Then Bottled and Bond. And then was it monogram? No, we didn't do the monogram.
It was not monogram. No.
There was a fourth one. I forgot which. No, Raven, if you're watching, leave us a comment. Was it only 3?
I think it was only the 3.
Okay. Had I been thinking, I would have taken a picture of that night. But whatever.
So anyway, the original tasting notes for the Bottled and Bond Straight Bourbon Whiskey are a golden brown color. On the nose, caramel, lemon.
Way beyond golden.
Caramel, lemon oil, brown sugar, nuts, baking spice, apple pie, clove, and hints of maple.
All right, so baking spices.
On the palate.
Maple would be the sweet.
Rich and buttery with a cigar smoke, dark cherry, plum, cornbread, cotton candy, and honey.
Good. Cotton candy's pretty damn good.
Finish, long, complex, with hints of vanilla, caramel, honey, cinnamon, dark roasted coffee, nuts, and sea salt.
Okay, so most of those is what we usually pick up on the nose. That's
what the Bottled and Bond
putting that on the finish
gives us. So this last month, on a previous episode, I mentioned the Kansas City Whiskey Guild, the liquor store that they have partnered with, Santa Fe Liquor, off of Santa Fe, 87th Street,
and a strip mall.
Strip mall, not a strip club.
Correct. There's a difference.
Yeah. So I showed up to get that bottle, and while I was there, I mingled around a little bit. And I ran into a guy. He's like, "Hey, what do you got there?" And I was like, "I picked up the private stock, the Rieger pick." And he's like, "Awesome." He introduced himself as one of the distillers at Rieger's, and so we talked.
Wow.
We talked a little bit. I did not get his name. I gave him a card. I gave him a sticker.
Okay. So it's always good to have those on you.
I've
come to find out.
Someone at Rieger
you never know who you're gonna meet.
Followed us on Instagram a couple weeks ago. So I think that might have been him. So
yeah, if you're on Instagram, check us out at Savor the Burn.
But anyway, we got talking about not this bottle. Got talking, we were talking about this bottle. So
it wasn't the rye.
No,
okay.
We were talking about this bottle.
Oh, definitely was this one.
So I told him that I was excited about the Casey Whiskey Guild pick, but I had also just picked up 2 of the Total Wine bottles, and one of them being the Wildfire. And he started laughing. He's like, that label says 149 something proof, right? I'm like, yeah, it's 149.6. And he kept laughing. He's like, yeah, it's not. I'm like, what do you mean it's not? He's like, well, he goes, so here's the thing. He goes, we tested it, we checked it out, and when we were ready to print the labels, it was 149.6, and so we took off printing the labels.
Yeah.
And then it sat in the barrel.
By the time they got back to it.
And it sat in the barrel. He said by the time we actually put it in the bottle, it was 151 plus a little bit. So
awesome.
On paper, this is 149.6.
But in reality.
But per one of the distillers that helped with this bottle, he's like, yeah, it's at least 151.
Yeah, that's all right.
Which means if we were to get out the torch,
that's some bitch.
It's gonna burn.
Is it supposed to light on fire at 100 proof?
I think so. I mean, 151 is like full on blue flame.
Yeah. It'd be. Imagine this on a creme brulee. We haven't even opened it yet. We're already thinking about what we're gonna do with it.
There it is.
That's a nice pop. That's a nice pop. Not all of these so far have had a nice pop.
I am blown away. This one and the two previous private stocks that we've done
There's a lot of noise.
have had great color. But I mean, look, it looks dark in the bottle, but look at
it also looks dark in the dram. How cool is that?
and how many times do we go, oh my God, it's dark in the bottle, and then we pour it and it looks not necessarily, it doesn't look light in the glass, but
I'm picking up on cereal notes.
dear listener, lean in on this one.
That proof just caught me in the nose real quick. First sniff.
Take a second sniff.
I'm doing a half a nose.
That's dessert, dude.
I'm doing this the single nostril thing that I learned from Tennessee and Faye.
And then do the flyby. Dude, oh my God.
It's everything I love about a bourbon.
What is all on that nose?
So right on the nose, I know it's going to be at least a 4. Because if you hit wow with us anyway, when we say wow, it's at least a 4.
Fuck. I'm going to town on this one. I mean, I still am just blown away. So I think every single whiskey we've had and we've poured it into a glass, into specifically our Glencairn glasses, it is always a handful of shades lighter in our glass than it looks in the bottle. Agreed?
Yes. Yes.
This in the glass is almost as dark as it is in the bottle. This is the darkest whiskey we have ever tried. And it's a straight bourbon.
Yeah.
This is a fucking straight bourbon.
And we've only had it on the nose. Let's get it on the palate.
Well, let's do it. 151. I mean, 149.6.
Plus.
Get the fuck out. I mean, seriously, there's a little bit of a burn on the back end of that palate into the finish.
A little bit. That ethanol took over my palate entirely.
That's delicious.
However, remember when we tried the Rieger's Rye private stock, and I wasn't really complaining, but I was just talking about how the palate was kind of
it assaulted your tongue.
It was assaulted, right, by the proof. This one here, it assaults not just the tongue but the entire mouth for me.
Oh, it.
That said, there's more taste there than there was for me on that rye. I did like that rye.
This is a Kansas City bear hug.
Not just a Kansas City hug, but a Kansas City bear hug. That's a good way to put it.
To your point, the amount of flavor and the complexity of everything in there is way greater than the last two ones we've tried.
Can you imagine an old fashioned with this?
Dude.
God, that's a lot of whoo, whoo. Give me a Ric Flair. Woo!
But seriously, that potentially could become the best old fashioned you've ever had.
No way, dude. No way.
I don't know.
I don't know. For me, it's a toss up between one of the old fashions that you made early on and the old fashioned you get from West Bottoms Whiskey Company.
Don't forget the old fashioned we did with the Michter's Sour Mash.
Michter Sour Mash was definitely a good old fashioned.
That was a put your hands in the air kind of
an unexpectedly great old fashioned. Came from. Did I take it home? I didn't take it home. Did I? The Howler Head?
No, it's right there. On the very end.
Oh shit!
On the very end.
I turned the wrong way. An unexpectedly great old fashioned that we did.
Even loved it
on the Mother's Day episode, which you didn't get to see, but you did get to hear about what involved this one here, Howler Head Banana Whiskey. Like this turned out to be a great.
I'm still planning
at 80
on
proof. What's a great old fashioned.
I'm still planning on revisiting it and doing a torch banana slice skewered as a garnish.
Man, I think that nipple just got hard again.
Get on.
Sorry. I'll try not to do that in the future.
I'm kind of in love with this wildfire.
This wildfire is great.
I'm gonna warn you right now. My scores are probably gonna be high.
Is this the highest proofed bourbon that we've ever tried?
Hands down.
I think it is.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah, I think the highest before was
the Jack
Booker's.
Daniels. No,
Oh, it was the Jack Daniels?
Jack Daniels. That was
Single barrel?
the Jack Daniels single barrel.
Is that over here?
Yeah, it's behind it.
Yeah. So do you remember what it is off the top of your head?
I think it's 133 point something.
So on this episode of Stump the Co-Host, let's see exactly what it was.
It's 133.3.
Damn, you got it right.
Is it
133.3? Son of a limp biscuit. That's what's up, dude. See,
I know my whiskeys.
he knows his whiskey, and
I remember them, and I remember that episode though. We were like,
right.
That's hot.
It's so
It's
hot.
good, but it's hot.
Then we had the Bookers. Well, no, the Bookers wasn't as hot. Okay, sorry.
And the Stag Junior was the star of that night.
Good. The finishes.
The Stag Junior was incredible.
Incredible.
The Booker's was a close second, and then the Jack Daniel's single barrel was really, really good. But oh my God, it was so hot. There was a lot to get through and process before you could even unpack flavors.
We talked about
This has a lot of heat to it, but I don't feel the heat is necessarily deterring or hindering all the flavors.
on that rye it did.
On the
But
rye, it did. This one, they're all there.
This one has
front
more
and
of
center.
a mouth heat than that rye did, because the rye took over the tongue.
Yeah.
This took over the tongue and the whole mouth, like
Yep,
the roof of
yep,
your mouth.
Yep.
But even with that, the flavors
There's
came
so
through.
much going on.
And speaking of so much going on, we didn't talk about what we picked up on the nose as far as.
So
We have what the tasting notes for the original said.
right.
But with that, it's apples. It's like Red Delicious and Honeycrisp apples, right? It's not apples to oranges.
Caramel, lemon oil, brown sugar, nuts, baking spice, apple pie, clove, and hints of maple. I'm getting some maple syrup,
Maple, yeah.
and a little bit of a honey with it.
And I'm getting the toasted nuts. Did that say toasted nuts?
It says
What did it
some
say?
kind of nuts, just nuts.
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 You got nuts.
These nuts.
These nuts. But yeah, I got toasted nuts, maple.
I can kind of see a little bit of a lemon oil, maybe.
I'm missing the citrus part of this.
Caramel for days.
Caramel for days.
Vanilla.
Yeah. Usually when vanilla shows up, caramel's there to party.
A creme
Vanilla's
brulee
riding
toffee?
shotgun to the caramel. What?
A creme brulee.
You're getting
toffee?
creme brulee?
Yeah.
So it's like kind of creamy? Huh.
Yeah, got a little bit.
Torched sugar?
Per the distiller, that's 151 plus.
Right.
Your nose hairs are curling because they're singeing as you're taking it in. You're not getting away from that.
Yeah. It's like a hot fucking warehouse worker in the middle of August not wearing goddamn deodorant. What's wrong with you? What the fuck? I work with people in a warehouse with no climate control. So when it's 108 outside, it's usually 116 inside. So for whatever reason, some of them don't
Get you
wear
some.
deodorant. I don't know. Do I really want to? This is really good the way it is.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Change my mind. Get your
It's-
pull and change your mind.
It's
Change my
fantastic
mind.
the way it is.
Is that about? No, wait. Did I hit the? Is that how much you had, or half of that?
Yeah, a little bit less than that.
Shit.
Yeah, inch and a half. Yeah. Oh.
That?
Yeah.
It's more like an inch.
That's vanilla custard. Oh my God, that's so good. Tanner.
We didn't talk about the legs on this, but it does have legs for days, and
It's thick.
it does.
It is thick.
Thick is a great way to put it, viscosity wise. Like it sticks to the palate.
I I would also say, also the palate has a little bit of an oily kind of a flavor to it.
That makes it stick.
Texture to it. Yeah, it's thick. It's got a little bit
Have
of
you
an
tried
oily.
chewing it like Timothy said to do? I've never thought, let's fucking chew it.
Yeah. I mean, chewing it actually brings the heat out a little bit more.
It's a lot of heat. Oh my God.
And all of a sudden your tongue very quickly goes
Through
numb.
the nose, out the mouth. It's like Lamaze.
Been there.
Right. All the moms and dads out there, you know what we're talking about. Not the mothers and fathers, because to me there is a difference between a father and a dad.
Yes, sir.
The dads will show up to Lamaze. Anybody can be a father. Anybody can stick a baby in a woman. You know, we didn't even talk about that in the Father's Day episode with Phil, Mr. Phil, motherfucking Mitchum. How cool was that guy?
He's super cool. I love Phil.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Like if you know him for 2 minutes, you know him for 20 years.
Yeah.
Not that I've known him for 20 years, but still.
I've known him for a long.
I've known him for either known him or known of him for at least 5 to 10, and he's just always been the same dude. Just like cool as the other side of the pillow. Mm-hmm. Like if his feathers are ruffled, you know it. But who isn't that way? He's a cool dude.
Look how dark. I mean, I don't have much left in my glass. Look how dark that puddle is.
That's something we've never done.
This is the darkest.
We've never tested our pores. My pores. Like if you take one thing about these Glencairn glasses that you can find at savortheburn.com/shop. Scroll down and find them.
A 2-ounce pour, when you turn on its side on the Glencairn's glass,
it'll come right up to the lip.
It'll come right up to the lip, but still stay inside the glass.
Yep, stay within its bounds. It knows its place. But we've had a few sips out of these.
On my own, I've done that a few times.
Have you? I have not. I've never even checked it. I just have a pour, and I'm like, that looks good.
I'm super modest, but I do feel like I've gotten to where I know where that line is.
It's supposed to be like if you have the little aerator thing up in there, it's supposed to be like 1 Mississippi, done.
Okay.
I think that's 1 ounce.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's not a shot. A shot is 1.5 ounces.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure where this would put it though.
I know so many people that were like, you go over and you go to share a bottle of whiskey, a good bottle of bourbon with them, and then they pull out their standard shot glasses. And
what?
And we've gotten to the point where I'm like,
we don't mean to be whiskey snobs, but even being a whiskey enthusiast,
I don't feel we're whiskey snobs. We're
not,
and
unless it comes to
we don't want to be whiskey snobs.
Unless it comes to certain casino bars and their lackluster, choice of whiskey selection.
But we have grown to just really appreciate what a good whiskey tasting glass
can do
offers.
for the spirit. Yeah,
I mean, it also elevates a Jim Beam. He knows me.
I didn't have to do it that time. Woo, good times.
Woo. We're pretty far into the episode too.
Yeah, I've given a few.
I'm proud of us. I'm really proud of us.
Really proud of it. I've given
proud of you.
At least 3 accidental woos.
Jim Beam, Jim Beam, Jim Beam. There.
You get it.
Making up for it.
If you don't, if you do get it, you're probably fucking wasted by now. If you don't get it, well, I probably just gave the hint that's all the hint you need to understand the game.
Okay, so my overall...
Wow, this is going to end up being a higher rated bourbon than I thought it would. Which is wild to me because we've done incredibly good ones like the Booker's.
I threw a lot of really...
The Stag Junior that we talked about.
I throw a lot of really high numbers at this, and I'm not mad at my score at all, but it's a solid score, but I was expecting it to be a little higher than it was. I'm in love with this bottle.
So good. So good.
This bottle is really, really good.
Yeah, it's the bourbon, only it's elevated.
It is the hottest whiskey we have had on this.
Because was there any like espresso note in there on the palate or finish?
No, but there is a coffee.
Coffee, dark colored coffee. Okay, so I get
coffee.
that on the finish. I get that because I can
100%.
I can taste it. Very cool. Very cool.
I like my coffee.
You've
been off caffeine for a while.
Yeah, for at least about a year and a half. But I have recently found a Folgers decaf in like the little packets. They're like, so big. So really, it's kind of like, I forgot who it was, but I know somebody that drinks decaf. Actually, I know my sister Angie does. Like, she'll drink decaf and then she'll like water it down halfway. Okay. What the fuck, Angie? But some folks drink decaf just because they want to be... They miss the taste and the experience that coffee has to offer. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And recently that's Katie. I was told that. Was it Katie that told me that? So Katie, thank you for bringing that to my attention. If that was you, thank you for bringing that to my attention because when you said that, whoever it was that said that really helped me realize that I do miss the whole experience of having a coffee in the morning. Who cares if it's decaf?
Yeah, Katie loves her coffee.
Yeah.
When she became pregnant with Henry, she cut all caffeine out. So she stopped
caffeine, nicotine, alcohol.
No nicotine, but
she never was nicotine.
No. But all her soda, she cut out all soda. And then she switched her coffee to decaf, and she has remained on decaf.
Okay.
But she very, very religiously has to have her coffee every morning. It's just decaf now.
Okay. That's exactly caffeine. Where I got it from, though. So thank you, Miss Katie. It's really good. I used to be a big fan of the Bones Coffee Company. They specialize in flavored coffees, and I still get their text messages, but like, if you know Bones Coffee Company, then you know what I'm talking about. They're incredible. They're really good, but I'm not sure if they have a decaf. But if they do, maybe I should look into it and check it out. So this whiskey, we have found. 4 or 5 different flavors on the nose and the palate, and in the finish. Have we talked about the finish much?
The finish is long. The heat that you get from the proof just penetrates and lingers on.
It does linger. It's a long Kansas City hug, like almost to an uncomfortable point. Sometimes I tell my friends, like, hey. Tell the wife and kids I said hi. Be sure to give that wife of yours an uncomfortably long hug for me.
What did you give it on the nose?
I gave it a 4.5.
All right. I gave it 4 3/4.
Okay, you said you were going to go high with it. I knew you were wowed, but I didn't know you were that wowed. That's pretty cool. How about the palate?
This is badass. I'm digging on this bottle. I gave the palate a 4.5.
So did I. It had even though what I really loved about this palate was even though the mouth burn, the proof burn took over the tongue and the mouth. It still had flavor, bourbon flavor that just rocketed right through. It that's what really wowed me.
The palate comes
not just the flavors, but the fact that the flavors powered through that burn.
The palate comes equipped with a flamethrower and a
which you should expect. Which you should expect a flamethrower with anything involving a 149.6 or 151 plus proof. How about the finish?
I gave the finish 4 1/4.
I give the finish a 4 3/4. because to me the finish had everything.
Damn, girl.
Girl, Z-Snap. Everything that we talked about before, plus it had a little bit of that coffee.
I'll drink to that.
And
it's no Jim Beam.
And I'll drink to that. So yeah, it had everything to do. Every flavor profile that we had already talked about. Stupid whiskey. Plus, it had a little bit of a coffee finish, which I was not expecting, but I definitely do enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's why I gave it a 4 and 4.3 quarters.
Hell yeah, Delta Foo.
Delta Foo. 4.3 quarters. I mean 4.7.
You know who you are.
Right.
Carlo.
How about bottle presentation? Did you keep it at...
I kept it at 4.
You kept it at 4?
Yep.
I kept mine at a 4 and a quarter. I think with the original, I would do a 4 even. Easy. I mean, you got the composite cork. You got like the dark mahogany and or black, whatever topper. But yeah, you got composite cork, which helps the spirit last longer. I prefer a natural cork.
Yeah.
Just because, call me crazy. And you probably will. I don't care.
It's fancy.
It just looks fancy. That's what I'm used to out of wine bottles. Even though I have pulled quite a few corks out of wine bottles that were composite. But, I mean, it's got private stock. It's got this extra little bit. The history that we read earlier is on there. Of course, every bottle has "Oh So Good" on it.
Oh, so good.
Oh, yeah. Have you had anybody send you a text or a video or whatever? And it's just like you're watching this video, it's fucking dumb, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah. And like the porno fucking soundtrack, and you're like, oh God, shut down. They're gonna think I'm a pervert, which we are, of course, but like we don't want that public knowledge. I guess it is now thanks to podcast.
Whoopsie.
Family show. How about the final? What did your final score end up being?
It was 8 3/4.
8 3/4. I rated it at a 9. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with this bottle. There's everything wonderful about this bottle. I had that look that I just did, like he was messing with his wire, and I thought, I wonder if he
thought, oh God, my mic dropped.
I wonder if he thought his mic dropped, and then because like. In podcast world, mic drop is a completely different thing. And then I thought, oh my God, did I drop mine? Are we going to have to do this whole thing over again? And we're like, yeah, this is a can of whiskey. And then I'm out.
Let's just do it over.
I'm going to take a nap now. But
take 3. It was wonderful.
Did I get the pour right? But anyway, so I had to double check and make sure that my mic was still clipped to my Savor the Burn t-shirt that you can find at savortheburn.com/shop.
This guy.
That guy. He fucking designed this thing.
And then subscribe.
Yeah, definitely.
Below. Hit the bell.
Wherever it is that you're watching and or listening to this episode, definitely hit subscribe and share it to your fellow whiskey enthusiast.
You're not in Kansas City, but you know someone who is in Kansas City, or you're going to visit Kansas City.
If you do visit...
Check out Rieger's.
If you do visit Kansas City, send us an email, info.w2jonathan@savortheburn.com, one of those 3, and we will reply with a short list of great distilleries that we know and love and have visited ourselves. For you to check out while you're in town.
This distillery has a corkscrew slide to exit the tasting room.
Yeah, and I think, Raven was a little bit hesitant. Just a little bit. And,
like, and then she's like, yeah, okay.
After 3 tasting and fucking 2 cocktails into it, she's like, I don't know if I want to do that. But she did it. She had a good time. All 3 of us had a good time with it. Whatever.
Who wants to take the stairs?
Right, stairs are dumb. Why wouldn't you want to take a curlicue slide? Right. As far as your perspective goes, it's forward. You're just going forward no matter what. There might be a slight tilt, but like it's forward.
Right.
Like, it's not like you're going upside down and around. It's not the Zambezi Zinger. It's not like you're on it's not the fucking fire in the hole at Silver Dollar City, where there is none of this. Oh, I almost died. I did not almost die. Whatever. But
is that vanilla bean on the second nose?
Vanilla bean. I haven't quite reached there yet. Are you picking up vanilla bean though?
I am. Usual suspects, cereal grains, but yeah, a little bit of cereal grain and some honey. Dear listener,
licorice. I'm getting licorice.
Oh, that's
I'm getting cereal grains, like you had talked about, some of the cream of wheat. But this is still kind of a wet.
I'm not getting any licorice.
Second nose. No.
No.
Well, I might have like a drop that's giving me the licorice.
It's delicious.
Man.
Anyway, you smell it.
For those people that wear a CPAP machine when they go to sleep because of what is the thing? Yes. If fucking Darth Vader was sniffing this, there would be no problem in the Galactic Empire. They're like, I find your lack of whiskey disturbing. So if you find yourself in the presence of a barrel pick, the difference between a barrel pick and the original juice, the original whiskey, is probably going to be somewhat close to this. I mean, this is a regular release of your average bourbon.
What's proof on that one?
The proof on this one that we haven't reviewed yet, so I don't know it off the top of my head, is 95 proof, which is higher than your tavern strength, 80 proof. But this one
is 149.6,
rumored to be
or 151 plus.
So you can, from there, you can see the color difference between the two of these, and the color isn't always isn't always indicative of the experience that you're going to get from that particular whiskey.
But it's pretty good, darn good indication.
But right. So you have what you would expect from the regular, and then what you would expect from the single barrel version of that regular, because chances are the regular has been blended between several of these barrels, several meaning maybe 50 to 150, and then proofed down, water added to bring it down to 95 proof or 90 proof.
This is the Rieger Straight Bourbon.
Oh, okay. So this is Rieger's Straight Bourbon. So you can see the difference in color between those two. It's a contrast.
I think this is 100, maybe. It's probably
95 proof.
95. Okay.
Yeah. Still
95
versus 150 plus. How cool is that? Just add water.
Just add water.
It's not just add water, because they picked specific barrels for the blend.
Yep.
And then proofed it down to get to a specific palate.
Yep.
On this.
And this is batched versus single barrel, so that is going to play into it as well.
Right. And single barrel is exactly what it sounds like. You pick a barrel, and you end up with, what was this, 95 bottles, something like that, of this
190
bottles of this 149.6, 151 plus proof whiskey. So that said, if you have the chance to pick up a store pick or a Facebook group pick or a single barrel pick of any kind of your favorite bourbon or just
do it,
whatever, it doesn't matter. Do it and try them side by side. It's going to be a world of difference. It's going to be a completely different experience. I challenge you to try it and think differently at fucking all. So if you have the chance, definitely do it. If you don't have the chance, I think it's time to sit down and really rethink your life. So no matter who you are, where you are, what you're drinking, who you're drinking it with, always remember, keep on burning.